Welcome to another episode of Steele Creek Explorer. I'm your host, Jeremy Stout, and here we are right in the late fall, early parts of winter, and we're going to explore what wildlife does to prepare for the cold months of the year. So some animals hibernate, some animals stay awake. Some trees, like this one beside me, are deciduous. They lose their leaves for the winter. Some trees, like this pine tree, they retain some needles all year long. Lots of different strategies for coping with the cold winter months. So come with me now, and we're going to discover some ways that Steele Creek Park falls into winter. Well, here in this liminal time between fall and winter, you don't need waders to go exploring this creek. We're here in Hemlock Hollow, and this creek is entirely dry. This is a seasonal creek, which means it's only wet for some parts of the year. But what happens to the life that's in this creek when it goes dry? We have salamanders, crayfish, and other invertebrates that live in this creek, and even a few species of fish. As you can imagine, these species have to do something when this creek dries up. Let's see if we can find out where they went. Even though the water stops flowing in this creek, if you know where to look for it, you can still find some water, especially water that is hiding underneath rocks and crevices. Even the fall leaves that coat this creek bed can all help to hold moisture close to the ground. So a lot of our species, especially some of the salamanders and the crayfish, they'll actually stay in or near the creek bed, but they alter their habits to get into places where they can still find water, at least to where maybe they can keep their gills wet. And here we found just such a spot in the creek. Well, it certainly doesn't look like much, just a little puddle of water here that could maybe just fill up a soda bottle cap or maybe a little bit more. And obviously we don't see any wildlife with the naked eye. Of course, there's plenty of living things in there. But what it does show is that even when the creek bed is dry, there's still water to be found if you know where to look for it. Well, one thing that's always fun to do is to think about the cycle of nutrients through an ecosystem. It's tied closely to the cycle of life. And so when you think about it, everything on the surface of the earth, every living organism, ultimately is solar powered, right? Because we know that plants take the sun's light energy and they convert that into chemical energy, and animals eat the plants and some animals eat other animals. Okay, so it all